Hello and welcome back to News Nexus. In today's video, we're addressing a critical issue affecting millions of Americans: the rising cost of living in certain states. Why is it that 50% of Americans can't afford to live in these 10 states? Over the next 20 minutes, we'll break down the factors driving up costs, the impact on families and workers, and potential solutions. If you find this topic important, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to click the bell icon to stay updated with our latest content. Let's dive in. Before we get into the specifics, let's first define cost of living. It refers to the amount of money required to cover basic expenses such as housing, food, healthcare, and transportation. The problem arises when these expenses skyrocket, leaving millions of Americans struggling to keep up. According to recent reports, 50% of the population can no longer afford to live in these 10 states. From soaring housing prices to rising healthcare costs, the affordability crisis is complex. When we take a closer look, certain states stand out as particularly unaffordable for a growing portion of the population. Let's now turn our attention to the top 10 states where living has become a financial struggle for many residents. These states are leading the way in terms of high costs, and in many cases their prices are outpacing wage growth: California, Hawaii, New York, Massachusetts, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Maryland, New Jersey, Alaska. Each of these states has its own set of unique challenges, but they all share one thing in common: exorbitant living costs. One of the main drivers of this affordability crisis is the housing market. In states like California, New York, and Washington, home prices have surged over the past decade, leaving many individuals and families priced out of the market. In California, for example, the average home price has surpassed $700,000, making it nearly impossible for first-time home buyers to enter the market without significant savings or financial assistance. The same is true in states like New York and Massachusetts, where real estate prices have outpaced inflation and wage growth. Rent is another major issue. In cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York City, rental prices are astronomically high. The median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is over $3,000, which is unaffordable for many, especially when average wages are insufficient to cover these costs. Now, you might be wondering, if wages aren't keeping up with the rising cost of living, what's driving the disconnect? The reality is that many of these states have experienced a boom in high-paying industries, particularly in technology, finance, and healthcare. But these high-paying jobs are not accessible to everyone. At the same time, service workers, teachers, healthcare aides, and other middle-class professions are still seeing stagnant wages, despite the increasing cost of living. In states like New York and California, you need a high salary just to afford basic necessities. The growing gap between low-income and high-income earners is making it harder for middle-class families to make ends meet. Another key factor contributing to the unaffordability of living in these states is healthcare costs. Health insurance premiums and out-of-pocket expenses are rising rapidly, even for those with employer-sponsored insurance. In states like California and New Jersey, healthcare costs have become a significant financial burden. For instance, in California, healthcare premiums have increased by 20% over the past 5 years. Add to that the rising out-of-pocket expenses, including deductibles and copays, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to afford necessary treatments. This forces many working families to choose between paying for healthcare or covering housing and food costs, quickly leading to financial strain, debt, and, in some cases, poverty. The effects of unaffordable living are widespread, impacting working families, retirees, and young people alike. Many are opting to leave high-cost states like California and New York in search of more affordable living in places like Texas, Florida, and Arizona, where the cost of living is significantly lower. These migration patterns are also affecting local economies as people leave behind jobs, homes, and communities. But it's not just individuals who are impacted. Entire communities are experiencing economic shifts as local economies become less sustainable when a large portion of the population can no longer afford to live there. So, what can be done to solve this crisis? Several solutions could help alleviate the burden on American families. First, housing affordability must become a priority for policymakers. More affordable housing options, rent control measures, and increased housing development in urban areas could help stabilize costs. Secondly, wage growth must be aligned with the cost of living. Many workers are demanding higher wages, and it's time for companies and states to adjust to the changing economic landscape. Lastly, we need comprehensive healthcare reform. Affordable healthcare access is crucial for families to thrive, and steps must be taken to reduce premiums and out-of-pocket costs, particularly in high-cost states. As we've seen today, the cost of living in certain states has become unaffordable for 50% of the American population. Housing, wages, healthcare, and other costs are outpacing wage growth in many areas. However, with the right policies and a concerted effort from both the public and private sectors, we can address these issues and work toward creating a more affordable future for all. Thank you for watching this in-depth breakdown. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think is the most pressing issue affecting the cost of living? We'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay informed and stay connected with News Nexus.